watched Project Skyquake, a found footage movie found for free on Tubi. And Project Skyquake is a movie about a girl named Cassie, who's a college student from England who is currently studying. I can't talk, I'm so sorry. I would normally try to edit this out, but it's too early. She's in Hungary for college. That's where she's going to school. This will be her second year in Hungary. So she was recently watching some videos on YouTube and getting really interested in skyquakes. If you don't know what skyquakes are, it's a phenomena that does actually happen. And you can find some real instances of it on YouTube if you look around, but you kind of have to look around. A lot of fakes. But it's something that happens where the sky makes this reverberating noise that's very deep and bassy, and people don't know what the noise is. It just kind of happens, and it's a mystery.
We call these skyquakes, and these skyquakes have been reported all over the world. Like sky trumpets, leading theories for the cause of skyquakes are the shifting of tectonic plates, or maybe something to do with the Earth's magnetic field. A geological explanation would be easy to prove, but so far, nothing.
And it's a real thing. And she gets kind of interested in skyquakes, and there's been a lot of stuff online talking about how it's increasing in frequency. And they're happening more and more and more in quick succession. So Cassie gets with her friend who is a driver. I don't think Cassie drives. But her best friend, who she considers kind of like a little sister. And they are going to go out into the middle of nowhere, about 3.5 hours out into the countryside in Hungary, to use this device she bought online to try to capture information about these waves of sound. It's like something that's supposed to be able to detect sound waves we can't hear, right? That humans can't hear. And they do that. They witness a skyquake. I can't say skyquake. They witness a skyquake, and then on their way back, they run across a small house, and they go, oh, there's a small house here. Let's see if anybody's home. So they go to see if anybody's home. And for the life of me, I don't know why. It bothers me because I was listening and paying attention, and they're just like, oh, well, let's stop here and ask them a question. And then when nobody answers, they just let themselves into the house. And they go wandering through the house. The sink was on. And they turn it off, and they look around, and they're trying to figure it out. And they're like, oh, well, time to loot the fridge, which is not what I would be doing. First of all, breaking into someone's house without any reason to is a little weird. A little super weird. But then to steal stuff from their fridge, just because they're not home, I don't know what's up with these kids. The writing is really weird because of that. They can't get any internet, and their reception isn't working. But it's really funny when she's like, oh, we can't get any internet, and then she picks up the phone and looks at it. It clearly is in airplane mode, so they didn't even try to hide that. But they go driving some more, and they can't find anybody there, so then they come back and decide that they're going to go to sleep in this person's house. Which is weird. Again, these people are weird. Why would you sleep in a stranger's house? They said specifically they had enough gas to get back to the city, and yet here they are deciding they're going to sleep in a stranger's house. So they do, and Cassie wakes up in the middle of the night terrified because she hears someone in this stranger's house. Could be the stranger. I don't know. Could be the person who owns the house, Cassie. Did you think of that, Cassie? So there's people doing rituals, and they find like a skull downstairs, a goat skull, and then they go outside and they see people doing a ritual, and they're doing rituals with fire and stuff, and then they go back into the house, sleep it away, and then in the morning, they go looking around for evidence of these people who did the ritual, and they're like, there's no evidence. There's evidence. It's on your camera. You recorded it. It happened. So for some reason, they go wandering around until like dusk. They witness another Skyquake, and this one causes like a ripple wave. And so they go running back to their car, and they're like, okay, now that it's like 6 p.m., we'll leave. And they get in the car, and the car doesn't work. And they get in the person's car whose house they're at, and their car doesn't work. And then they get a call from a dude who read her blog, who goes on this expository thing about how he was in this town and his whole town went missing slowly, like with his wife and his kids and his neighbors and all this stuff. And now in the history books, this town doesn't exist. And he just kind of goes on about that for a while. And then we get more of the rituals. They can't get the car started, so they're spending the night at the house again. And the ritual this time has a bunch of men killing themselves. They're wearing these creepy masks and stuff. And one of them goes and kills everybody, then kills himself. And they're freaking out, so they go running around. And they run around for a while. She loses Margot, that's her friend's name. Cassie loses track of Margot and eventually finds her. But then another Skyquake starts happening, and they're like, oh, and they look up, and there's a bunch of tentacles coming out of the sky in a bunch of different places, and they've got blue beams shooting down from them. And one of the blue beams comes and snatches them up, and they disappear. And the movie ends, it's framed like a documentary, and the movie ends with them talking about this being the rapture. I thought it was aliens, dude. I mean, there's these big mechanical tentacles everywhere out of the sky, but they keep calling it the rapture. So is it the rapture? Because that's one of the theories about Skyquakes, is that they're like angels calling. And that it's, a portent of bad things to come. But if it's the rapture, why the hell were there sky tentacles? It was a weird movie. There were a lot of leaps to logic that just don't make a lot of sense. I mean, these girls and the way that they just moved into other people's houses with no problem. Really weird. Really weird. It was a lot of plot convenience stuff happening. I haven't even given this one a rating yet. Let me grab my journal. After talking about it, I think I'll give it a 1.5 out of 5. Wasn't bad. I mean, it was bad. It was kind of boring. I started falling asleep toward the end of it. Never enough to miss anything. It would be one of those things where you just kind of... that kind of a thing happened to me a few times at the end of the movie. But I know I didn't miss any explanations. I was never fully asleep at any point, so... just a weird movie. You can find it on Tubi if you want to watch it. I still would have preferred it be about aliens, though. I don't see Christ using giant tentacles to pull people up into the sky. But that's just me.